Hey, Ted.
Hello.
Thanks again for doing this.
Well, I'm really excited.
I'm excited.
I got my backdrop banner in my backdrop now, so it's
Amazing. I'll let everyone in here in just a minute to get started, but I just wanted to say hi and thank you.
well, hey, you are awesome. So
Hello, everyone. We have all of our speakers here, so I'm going to go ahead and admit everyone and kick us off with some music.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Morgan.
hi Kim.
Hi, thanks for being here, Ted. Hi, Governor. Hi, Chelsea.
Alabama, Arkansas, I do love my mom and pa, not the way that I do love you. Well, holy moly, Rio, my, you're the apple of my
Hi,
eye.
everybody. We'll get started in like 3 minutes.
Man, oh man, you're my best friend. I scream it too. There's nothing that, there ain't nothing that I need. Well, hot and heavy pumpkin pie, chocolate candy, Jesus Christ, ain't nothing please me more than you. Let me go home. Home is wherever I'm with you. Let me go home. Home is wherever I'm with you. Take me home. Mommy, I'm coming home.
Okay, I know I said 3 minutes, but I actually meant two. We have a really packed agenda to squeeze into 30 minutes today, and we're so thrilled that you're all here. Hi, Melissa from Arkansas. I'm here in Arkansas too. So is Governor Hutchinson. We're going to jump right in. So, we wanted to quickly start off this call by just kind of taking a moment and celebrating how far we've come. I'm Kim Lane. I'm the Executive Director of America the Entrepreneurial and the founding Chief Operating Officer of Right to Start. And this campaign is co-chaired by Victor Wong, who's the founder and CEO of Right to Start, and John Bridgeland, who's the founder and CEO of More Perfect. So, just to ground us in why we're here, we started this movement to restore entrepreneurship to the heart of the American story. And the reason we did this is because entrepreneurship creates jobs, it raises incomes, it strengthens communities, and it expands opportunity. But the problem is that 62% of Americans have a dream business in mind, and today only 2% of Americans actually start their business in 6 months. So, what we realized with Right to Start is that people wanted to take action to support entrepreneurs, but there's not been a good way to kind of opt in and help them. So, we developed America the Entrepreneurial as a way to give people a way to help. So, we wanted to create tangible actions that anyone, anywhere could do to support entrepreneurs. And we had these very ambitious goals at the beginning of the year. One is to create a nationwide base of individual supporters, which we call founders, championing entrepreneurship. Two is we wanted to bring together leaders, creating entrepreneur-friendly cities, counties, and states. Three is we wanted to build a national narrative that celebrates entrepreneurship as a key to American renewal. And four is we wanted to drive real reforms that help entrepreneurs and communities nationwide. And together, all of these actions are creating a nationwide infrastructure that builds a more entrepreneurial America. I'll just take a moment and pause, as I know everyone here has probably built something or works with people who build things. And often we have ambitious goals and you just never know where they're going to lead. And we are thrilled today to talk about what has actually happened in just 6 months. I mean, 6 months ago, this was very much an idea. We were still putting the pieces together, and here we are 6 months later. We actually had a goal for over the entire calendar year 2026 to track 250 actions taken across the country. In just 6 months, we tracked over 1,800 actions taken across the country. And I just want to thank everyone here who has taken an action or shared this on their social media to encourage others to do the same. So quickly, in March, we asked everyone to send a letter to their governor asking them to sign the Entrepreneurship Compact. We had a goal of 50 letters sent, and we actually tracked 150 letters sent across the country. In April, we asked you to ask your mayor to join the campaign. We wanted to get 50 invitations sent, and over almost 1,000 letters were sent across the country. In May, we had this ambitious, very public goal of a letter where we asked entrepreneurs to sign on and ask their governors to sign the compact. We wanted to get 250 signers on the letter, and we got 350. And in June, we wanted everyone to ask their mayor to issue a proclamation, and we wanted to track 100 letters across the country. We actually tracked 123 letters. That one in particular, I just want to pause on for a second because we obviously it's a funnel. We asked mayors to issue a proclamation, and we hoped that would lead to 25 proclamations over the calendar year. Already, we have over 20 mayors who have issued proclamations. So this is just to showcase what we had this ambitious goal, and it's actually working. People are taking action. It's leading to real change. 1,800 actions taken. We've actually engaged some people in every single state in the country and 2 territories. Over 100 partners are in this campaign. If you're one of those partners here today, thank you so much. And then, like I said, almost 1,000 letters sent to mayors, 350 stories shared. We have this huge momentum going into the second half of the year. And I also just wanted to illustrate what that actually looks like. I know this is just a lot of numbers and maybe it feels like a lot of actions that people are taking, but this is what that actually means. So at the state level, West Virginia created the nation's first Secretary of State-based Office of Entrepreneurship, meaning that entrepreneurs in West Virginia now have an inroad into the government to get help and start their businesses. In Oklahoma, the governor, Kevin Stitt, who's also the chair of the National Governors Association, issued a landmark executive order for entrepreneurs, doing everything from creating a one-stop shop to entrepreneurs to moving to reduce the cost to start a business in Oklahoma to $1. And in Nevada, Governor Lombardo he actually used our exact framing and branding and called it Nevada the Entrepreneurial, and is encouraging entrepreneurs around the state to share their stories. So this is just a small snapshot of what we're doing at the state level. But I just want to illustrate that's just of course, this has been a long time effort to get here, but in just 6 months, we've seen really real tangible change happen at the state level. And at the city level, the mayor of Oklahoma City, Mayor Holt, joined as our inaugural founding mayor of the campaign, issued a proclamation which really set the tune for the rest of the country's mayors to do the same. Our director of operations, Morgan Allen, was just in Fort Wayne, Indiana this week with Mayor Tucker, who also joined the campaign and issued a proclamation. And we've had dozens, like I said, of these proclamations issued. But then here we are in North Dakota, where several mayors actually joined onto one joint proclamation. Quickly on this too, this has been largely in part because we have these 2 amazing partnerships. One is with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and one is with the National Governors Association. These sort of happened in this amazing moment right when we launched this nationwide campaign, and we leveraged that moment to bring it all together to connect state, local, and grassroots. And here we are. We've been on the stages of both the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the National Governors Association. We have now almost 30 governors have signed on to our compact to support entrepreneurs in their states. Over 120 founding mayors are part of this movement. Real change is already happening, and this is just in 6 months. To illustrate the importance of this, so quickly on this again, we're all part of this nationwide movement to build an entrepreneurial America, and I also just want to say too, this is not something that just the people on this Zoom are aware of now. It's truly getting national attention. So yes, thank you for being a part of this movement with us. Okay, so to illustrate sort of the importance of this moment and how far we've come, I'm thrilled to have Governor Asa Hutchinson, the former governor of Arkansas. He's also the former chair of the National Governors Association, so he knows full well what it means to get governors on board with a bipartisan effort. He's also a member of our team and has been on the front lines of really driving change. So please help me in welcoming Governor Hutchinson. Governor, thank you for being here with us today. I think you're muted.
Yes, I am great to be.
Hi. Hi. Um, Governor Hutchinson, can you just, why is this moment important? And maybe could you also touch on, we have this compact for governors. We have 29 governors have signed on to the compact as of this weekend. We were just at the NGA over the weekend. What does all of this mean?
Well, first of all, let me emphasize the national importance of this movement. If you just Google America the Entrepreneurial, you're going to come up with all kinds of stories, good, positive stories about the growth of entrepreneurs in our country. Fortune magazine talked about the entrepreneurial boom and how it began long before venture capital. Even the New York Times had an incredible story about America's entrepreneurial spirit is booming. And this is because the Census Bureau says there's 5.7 million applications for new business starts last year, and that's the most in 2 decades. A lot of different reasons for that, but what a great opportunity for America the Entrepreneurial to celebrate this national movement on our 250th year. So congratulations to everyone for making it such a key part. And it's natural because one is part of our history. America is innovative, it's independent, it has ingenuity. That's what makes up the spirit of America. And then second, we all have our own experiences. I've started Bentonville's first FM radio station. Kevin Stitt started a mortgage lending business. Everybody is a starter and wants to be a starter. This gives them the opportunity. So celebrate the moment of this national success, and it truly is a national movement.
Thank you. I feel inspired. What does it mean to have a bipartisan group of governors on board with this effort?
Well, recognize how unusual it is. In today's society, it's hard to get bipartisanship on any issue. This is a natural for bipartisanship. And I look at it from a Republican standpoint. It's really focused on limited government. It is focused on individual opportunities. That might be their message. If you look on the Democrat side, the message might be a little bit more nuanced. They might say this is the opportunity to close the economic gap, the prosperity gap between big business and individuals, giving them an opportunity to start businesses. And so this brings people together. And it's something that both Democrats and Republicans have supported. It's reflected in the compact that 29 governors signed, and that is both Democrats and Republicans, uniquely bipartisan. I congratulate the NGA for helping to push this initiative along with Governor Kevin Stitt.
Could you talk a little bit about, I know you led a compact while you were the chair of the NGA. You've definitely been a critical piece of this compact that we're doing for entrepreneurs. What is the significance of the compact in general? What does it mean for a governor to sign on, and what does that signify for the future of that state?
Well, it signifies that the governor recognizes the importance of entrepreneurship, the right to start businesses, and it's a pledge to reduce regulatory burdens, reduce the entrance barriers that small businesses, right to start businesses have. And so that's an expression of where they want to go as a state. Many of the states have already done a number of things in terms of reducing those barriers, making licensure easier, the right to start easier, but they all recognize, hey, let's look at ideas as how we can do more. And governors are searching for ideas. And to me, that is so critical for this group, is to come up with the ideas, present those ideas. Governors are hungry for those. And that's an expression of really what the compact is about.
Thank you. And many people on this call and a part of this movement have also been a huge piece of this compact by writing their governor a letter, by asking entrepreneurs to sign on to our letter. What does this look like moving forward? Like, this isn't just the end because the compact, we announced it at the summer meeting last weekend. What is next with the compact?
Well, it is the implementation of ideas, and it is the reduction of barriers and making it easier to start. And part of it's inspiration. And that's what this group does so well, is to inform the American public and individuals who have that entrepreneurial spirit, it can be done. Jump at the opportunity. We're making it easier for you. Government is making it easier for you. And so that is, to me, the next steps is ideas and is inspiration and is encouraging the continued starting of those small businesses that makes our country great. Let me just elaborate for a moment. And people think about the policymakers, and you need to build those relationships with a governor or a mayor and to inspire them maybe to make things easier. But don't forget the staff. The most effective lobbyists are those that takes the policy director or the chief of staff or a legislative newcomer, take them out for lunch or to send them some cookies in the office to staff. That's how you build the relationships, and that's how you can get your ideas out there. All of those kind of connections make a difference in implementing the ideas that we need to accomplish to foster new businesses.
Perfect segue. A lot of what we're talking about on this call is going to be about the importance of local relationship building. Can you speak a bit to how did the real stories of people influence you as you were governor, and tips for people to actually build those relationships locally?
I remember the stories. I remember an entrepreneur who was an ex-offender. He came out of prison and he couldn't get a job because he had a conviction. So what does he do? He starts a business. He started a lawn mowing business that became a landscape business, became very respected and well known in the community. He was an entrepreneur. And I remember that story, and I repeat that story. Now, everybody's got a different kind of a story for entrepreneurship, or it could be about a barrier. And you tell that to a policymaker, they're going to repeat that story. It's going to mean something to them. And so engage and build those relationships, but also, again, going back to the ideas. I've got some ideas as to what states can do to reduce those burdens and make it easier. And so you come up with those ideas. What's been the biggest burden for you? Convey that, tell it in a story, and I think you'll see some change because of that.
Great, thank you. And final question is, like I said, you're on the team. You've been a huge part of getting us to where we are today. What excites you the most about this movement and where we're going?
Quite frankly, it is to seeing the national movement that has developed where people are taking notice. I mean, the media is taking notice that businesses are starting anew and the opportunities are there, and people have that entrepreneurial spirit still in America, and it has bipartisan support. This excites me. And quite frankly, I think AI can be a part of all of that. People are seeing AI as providing more opportunities, less burden on people who have ideas and implementing those ideas. So all of that combined today, the technology, the spirit that's there, the support from America the Entrepreneurial, that excites me. And I think you're going to see an incredible amount of difference that it makes over the next 6 months.
Wonderful. Governor, thank you so much for all your support and for being on our team. Okay, I'm going to now transition into sort of the second half of the call, which is talking about what do we do now with all this momentum. So we're sort of looking at now the second half of the year and into 2027. And what we're looking for is leaders, local leaders who will help shape a more entrepreneurial America by taking local action. So we're looking for people in August to actually sign up to host a local convening where we bring together entrepreneurs and local government leaders. And this is sort of the next iteration of this movement and driving local change. So it started out in the beginning with clicking a link and sending a letter, or sending a letter to your mayor asking them to issue a proclamation. And now we're really looking to go deeper in communities across the country and empower and enable leaders on the ground. So lasting change starts with relationships, as the governor said. And as all of you know, you have the power to make that change happen. So what we're doing with the second half of this campaign is really looking at ways we can drive change locally. For this month, It's actually a simple ask. We're just asking, we're looking for 25 people to raise their hand and say they are willing to host an event in their community in November. So we're giving everyone lots of lead time because we have lots of tools and templates. We'll be doing office hours to equip everybody. We're asking everyone to host their events in November. It'll be part of the Global Entrepreneurship Week movement. But this month is just signing up to take this action. This is just the beginning, like I said, of a longer term effort in communities across the country. So now I want to speak for a minute about why relationships matter with Chelsea Bennett. She lives this every single day. She's Right to Start's Director of State and Local Government Affairs. Welcome, Chelsea.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Chelsea, you do live this every single day with Right to Start. Tell us about your background in this work. How have you seen relationships actually lead to real change and reform, and why is this important?
Sure. So again, thank you all so much for having me. Right to Start, as our CEO said, is what I do. I live it in terms of removing the barriers for entrepreneurs through policy change and reform. And so by way of background, I have been in the field of government relations, public policy, stakeholder engagement for over 15 years. And I think what's key here for today's conversation is that I have worked both inside government, the local level and state level, as well as I have been an advocate lobbyist for nonprofits, as well as some of those Fortune 500 companies you may know. And so when we talk today about relationships, listen, they are critical to being able to move policy forward. When I think about relationships, it is the power to be able to see lasting impact. Yes, there are going to sometimes be issues that pop up that need immediate action and outreach, but there are more opportunities to build those lasting relationships, as we just heard from the governor. And so, whether it is engaging with the scheduler, the executive assistant, you want to build relationships on the local level with the mayor and all those who support him or her.
Can you talk about a time, either in your current work or previously, where you actually saw this happen? And I know I just want to mention to everybody here, we rattle off all these stats, 100 plus mayors and all these proclamations. That takes a ton of work behind the scenes. Chelsea is doing much of this work. Can you just tell us what does that actually look like? Like, how do you get a mayor on board? And once they're on board, what happens with that mayor?
One of the first examples that come to mind is Mayor Randall Woodfin, based off of Birmingham, Alabama. So I went to my first African American Mayors Conference probably about 5 or 6 years ago. First met him there, introduced myself, who I was working for at the time. Then I found myself in Birmingham for different events for the next 2 years. And then anytime I would see him, I would go up and say, "Hi, Chelsea Bennett, I'm with such and such," making the connection. At that time, I didn't have an explicit ask, but I wanted to get to know him, get to know what was going on in the community, what was important. And little did I know what we see here when I attended the African American Mayors Conference in April of this year. I had an ask this time, and it was for Right to Start. But I was able to get him to say yes to being a founding mayor and a proclamation because that relationship had been built over time. And with that, was able to email him. And what he did was, while he said yes, and I think this is so important when we're dealing with elected officials, is that while they may say yes, there is still an internal process that has to take place with many of these things. And so while he was on board, he told me the other people to copy in on the email to actually get it done in his city with his support. And we have Mayor Woodfin as a founding mayor, and we have a proclamation there from Birmingham. And so years in the making, but it's one of the things that is important when building relationships.
Thanks, Chelsea. And you're like a master networker. I was just thinking back to, it was like your second week, I feel like, at Right to Start. We went to this big event out of town. And I looked over to say something to you, and you were just out talking to all these like government leaders in the room. You were brand new. Do you have any tips for how to do that, especially for people who don't often work with government leaders?
One of the things I can tell you, especially from my time at the city of Richmond, where I supported the mayor and the chief administrative officer who led the operations for the city, is to remember that when you are dealing with elected officials and those high-ranking appointed officials, they are people just like you. And so that is helpful for you as an advocate to know, But it's also helpful when you come in with that posture for the person that you're educating, because just like you woke up this morning and had to do all the things, they did too, maybe get their kids off to school, left a lunch box. And when we go into these meetings and these interactions with the mindset, they're people like me, it helps to, curb any anxiety or feelings if this is not what you do every day. For someone who's been doing this for 15 years plus, sometimes, I'm thinking, what am I going to say? It still happens, but it's also about being prepared. You can help with some of those feelings of this newness, I'm not sure, by being prepared. And by being prepared, I mean being informed from the perspective of before you go to an event or go to a meeting with the mayor or someone from the city, do a quick Google to see if there's any breaking news that is happening that day with the city, because we know what our ask is. We want more mayors a part of our network so that we can educate them on how to remove barriers for entrepreneurs. But if they just had a major gas line break this morning, that is going to be what draws the attention of everyone there. And, sometimes one of a best practice, and sometimes I would appreciate, was when folks were reaching out to me on a day when it was just a lot of things happening, chaotic. They would reach out to my scheduler and say, hey, can we reschedule this? And you know what? Those were one of the first people I would want to reschedule my meeting with, because they were informed and prepared. And that all goes into building relationships.
Got it. Like reminds me of how my yoga instructor asks how we're arriving today. Be aware of what else is going on in their lives. Final question. It's similar to what I was asking the governor. This is just the beginning of a much longer term effort. What can you just tell us what happens with mayors who are in the pipeline? How are we actually working with them to drive real change for entrepreneurs?
So, excellent question, and probably one of my favorite when I think about what we're doing here in our work. So, we are asking mayors to become founding mayors. This is an opportunity for them to be able to showcase to their local community that they support entrepreneurship. Then we ask them to take the next step, which is to issue a proclamation. A proclamation is a simple, visible way for them to be able to say, not only to their community, to the nation, this is what we support in terms of entrepreneurship. When I think about, I know Cameron, I think Cameron was on this call, the work that he did in Sacramento, not only did they issue a proclamation, but they issued a proclamation that included policy reform. And so as we continue to grow, we want to remove those barriers. And so in Sacramento, their resolution shared that they would designate someone to be the lead for entrepreneurship, that they would include entrepreneurs in their economic development plan. And so we are working towards being a resource. And, Kim, in your words, I want us to be the single source of inspiration and motivation for mayors to remove barriers in their community for entrepreneurs.
Fantastic, Chelsea. Thank you so much. Thanks for everything you do to make this happen behind the scenes as well.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, I know we just have a few minutes left. I'm thrilled to welcome our ambassador, Ted Baker, who was a fantastic champion of this movement. I can't talk to you without feeling so happy and energized after Ted. But he took everything we're saying and made it happen in real life in Muncie. I think we have some incredible pictures of Muncie the Entrepreneurial you see on the banners. Ted, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. Can you tell us about Muncie the Entrepreneurial? What is that? What's that banner behind you? How did you make all this happen?
Well, I started hearing, and I participated, I think, in every rally call so far. And I started hearing about America the Entrepreneurial. And first of all, I'm very patriotic. I love our country. I love what it stands for, the history and such. And then I just thought, maybe we could do something locally. And so I just reached out and asked if, could we do something locally? I've not heard that we could do that. And so I was inspired by America the Entrepreneurial, by Right to Start, of course. And I just thought, well, I think we could pull this off. And so I come up with these ideas and I present them to my team and our team, and we seem to be able to make it work. And we pulled this off. And so that's why we did it.
What was it? What did you pull off?
Well, so I like to celebrate. And, we have so much in this country and so much in our business world to celebrate. And so I just thought, let's have an event. So we have some ground right next to our incubator, ordered a big tent, hired a caterer who is a real close friend of ours, had hamburgers, hot dogs, baked beans, apple pie, actually, and some other things. We had music from a local artist play. We had Morgan Allen come. And all we did is wanted to bring people together. And so we marketed this thing very well. We invited people to come. We had between 225 and 250 people. My goal was 250 for 250, right? So that's what we did. And so all we did is brought it together to celebrate. And I found out that um, there's a lot of negativity in the business community. Everybody blames things on everybody and such. And I just thought, well, why don't we be a positive influence? Why don't we lift up our business owners instead of having them torn down? And so my first thought was, is our business community worth it? And I said, yes, they are. And so we just wanted to celebrate them, and that's what we did.
Okay, thank you, Ted. I have two more quick questions for you. One is, you mentioned using the tools and templates on our website to sort of support with some of these efforts, particularly the proclamation. Can you just walk us through what did you use and how did those help you with your efforts?
So first of all, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. There's so many things out there for us to use. So I just went to the website and I looked there and I thought, okay, what could we use? And the first thing I found was the proclamation document. And so I copied it, pasted it in, and made it our own, sent it to our mayor, presented to him personally. Instantly it was done. And we got the proclamation, framed it, and we presented it and such. But I just went to the website and used the various tools that were there, ideas about how to reach out to people and such. And so if you don't know what's there, you don't know what to use. So I would encourage everyone, just go to the website and look at what's available. Really, it makes things so much easier for you to accomplish something like we did. And again, you don't have to do things on the scale that we did them. Do something. Do something to celebrate. Do something to celebrate.
Okay, and thank you. And on this call, we're inspiring others to step up and be local champions in their communities. Can you just explain what was the outcome of all of this? What you had government leaders at the event, apple pie, hamburgers, entrepreneurs. You had everyone there together celebrating America and the entrepreneurial spirit of America. What did you see come out of that?
The biggest thing we saw about out of this was collaboration and communication. We set up this big tent and we put long tables, not round individual tables, long tables so people had to sit next to each other if they wanted to, eat and things like that. And so we saw conversations happening that I'd never seen happen before. We had legislators, we had state and federal people there. We had local business owners. We had just would-be, want-to-be entrepreneurs. We had uh, community partners. We had some investors there. We just had some people that showed up, I think. And so these people were talking together, and they weren't on the right or on the left or in the middle or anywhere. They just were proud American citizens that day, proud to be part of the Muncie community. And to me, that was the biggest takeaway. People are still talking about it. Remember this, remember that. And people are talking about it. And I love that. And so, you gotta light something to get it going, right? And all I just said was, someone needs to lead this. And so I just thought, well, why not, right? Why not start with us? And so we need people on this call to rise up to be leaders and just take the next step. I have one saying that I always told my kids when they were growing up, and that is, if you do something, something happens. If you don't do anything, nothing happens. So do something.
Thank you, Ted. I love it. Okay. I know we're a little bit over. I'm going to pass it off quickly to Morgan Allen, our Director of Operations, who's going to go over how to take the next step, how to do something. So Morgan, over to you quickly.
Amazing. Thank you, Kim. So if you have taken action before, you are familiar with these forms. So we will drop the link in the chat again, but this month it will just take 2 minutes to sign up, commit to host. We're just looking for your name, your organization, your email, and we will be following up with a playbook, like Ted said, for you to take action. So that will include event invite templates, run of shows, how to approach a government leader, anything and everything under the sun will be in that toolkit. So be sure to sign up, the link in the chat. Thank you, Kim.
All right, thanks everybody. So we're just asking you to raise your hand. We'll be in touch. We'll be hosting office hours and webinars on these events. And again, these don't happen until November. We're just kind of getting a jump start on it now. And again, it's not just the event itself. This is the beginning of a much longer term commitment and relationship, one with your government leaders in your local community, and two between us and you. We're excited to work together closely over the coming months and years to make sure we're all collectively building a more entrepreneurial America together. So again, 6 months ago, this was just an idea. We have done so much incredible work, 29 governors on board, 120 mayors, proclamations coast to coast, people in every single state engaged in this movement. You guys are all part of it. Thank you so much, and we will be in touch soon. Thanks, everybody.